And it's also a point where, 3, 4, 5 years into living in a city, it starts to become home. I met my wife here. We got married after 4 or 5 years of living here. So now it's home, right? Now it's no longer this city that I've migrated to. Now I don't want to live in a city which is self-destructing because of environmental pollution. And waste is a huge, huge part of that. So as a city, it's actually a very, very cool place to be if you're a young person or if you're a professional, right? What this also means is Gurgaon is a very, very affluent city. What that affluence obviously brings with it is consumption at a rate that is comparable to what you would consume in the West.
Out of sight and out of mind. The propensity of middle, upper middle and rich class to throw their waste to the poor communities is a universal principle. Rich do not want a landfill site next to their homes. They would rather prefer that it goes to the poor communities, they suffer, and the rich don't have to smell or see or get impacted.
So I don't smell it. Now that leachate and that water where it goes down, I'm not drinking that water. I have my RO. So as a common citizen living in Gurgaon today, contributing to that waste problem, I'm really not being impacted by it at all. Your question, why bother? Most people will not bother, right? Because it's not front and center.
The problem of waste management is that we are not willing to put waste in front of our front yard. But that's where the solution is.
The community is like a family. The question is really, how do you get every member of the community on board? I felt that, look, you've got to multiply the good. Just one person is not going to achieve it. Communities have to achieve it. The basic process is simple. Every household is given 2 bins and 1 bag. So we do a 3-way segregation, which is the red bin is for complete rejects, the green bin is for your organic waste, and we have the white bag which takes in all the recyclables. So these go there, and always they go there after they've been washed and dried. All recyclables lose value if they are dirty and smelly.
Who washes and dries them?
Every house. It is the responsibility of the individual unit to ensure that it's given cleanup.
But I imagine somewhere or the other,
Of course.
there's going to be some kind of resistance. What do you do in that case?
So here's the thing. You start with 60% and say, okay, 60 is doing it great. And then watching each other, more will join in. You'd still have 10-15% who will have some issues or other. Those are the ones you got to address to. And even if out of them 5% don't do it, you actually look the other way. So once the waste has been picked up, it's taken to the composting site, and we do a secondary segregation of the kitchen waste, because invariably some little plastic or some paper or something which we don't want there. We mix it with dry leaves, and we also mix with some sawdust because that's very high carbon. And the whole thing is mixed, then it's picked up in the tasla and put into the bins. So we have 5-6 sets of these, and we keep moving to the next. When we come back to all of them filled, the first one is emptied out, and it's moved to another place where it's left for curing on the ground. The longer you leave compost lying around in ideal conditions, which is not too hot, not too cold, and a little bit of moisture, the better the compost keeps happening. So when we need it, we take it from there and use it as an. We've also given them a piece in that area where they further segregate for recovering value from the recycled waste. Over the last 5.5 years, let's say about 2200 days, every day 250 kgs of kitchen waste and 150 kgs of horticulture waste is together composted, which gives us about 880 tons of waste that has been diverted from the landfills. So if one community can do that, can you imagine if even half the communities, that's some 3000 RWAs, do it in Gurgaon? What are the crazy numbers we're looking at?
And that's what has to happen. Every community will have to manage their waste at site. Whatever they cannot manage, then can go to a common site.
But that's not the case with the landfill in Bandwadi. About 2,000 tons of unsegregated waste from Gurugram and Faridabad is dumped here daily. Municipal authorities have proposed a waste-to-energy plant to burn the legacy waste and generate electricity. The total cost of the project? Rupees 617 crore.
So a waste-to-energy plant essentially is a combustion plant. Waste-to-energy should only be used for waste which has high calorific value, cannot be recycled or reused, which has reached its end of life. There is no reason to burn waste which has low calorific value, because then you have to add supplementary fuel, increase the cost of burning, or use waste that can be recycled and reused, because you are then downgrading the value. Landfill should only be done for waste which has low calorific value, cannot be recycled or reused. And these two fractions are only about 5 to 10%. For a good waste to energy plant, segregation is important. If you provide unsegregated waste to a waste to energy plant, it will get into problem. And that's where all the waste to energy plant in India are getting shut or will shut down soon, simply because they are not getting segregated waste.
आज की पब्लिक हियरिंग म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन गुरुग्राम द्वारा वेस्ट टू एनर्जी प्लांट का एक्सपेंशन 15 मेगावाट से 25 मेगावाट के लिए है।
पहली बात तो इनने 15 मेगावाट का लगाया नहीं, तो प्रपोज्ड एक्सपेंशन कहाँ से आ गया? एक्सपेंशन जब कुछ जमीन पे इनने किया ही नहीं, एक्सपेंशन तो उसको बोलते हैं जब कुछ किया और उसको एक्सपेंड कर रहे हो। ये टोटल आप झूठ का आडंबर है।
In the process, when the municipal corporation came to the court, they come out with the proposal that they will set up a waste to energy plant in the site to deal with the waste. And then we challenged that order when the environment clearance was granted. And one of the main ground for challenging that was that the EIA report which is prepared for that is completely faulty. In the month of February, they have given the air pollution data, which they are saying is compliant. So PM10 and 2.5 is less than 160. So that is actually completely false data. At the same time, CPCB was showing the data more than 200 in the Gurgaon.
And it really begs the question that if you're an agency that has been here for the last 10 years managing the waste of Gurgaon, and you've clearly not been able to perform, then how can any government trust you to go ahead with this other solution, which is the waste to energy plant, which is a lot more technologically complex? Segregation was not complex.
सेग्रीगेशन करना वेस्ट जनरेटर का काम है, कंपनी का, नगर निगम का या कंसेशनर का काम है आपको वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोवाइड करना कि आपका वेस्ट सेग्रीगेटेड होके यहाँ आ सके। जब घर से ही सेग्रीगेटेड नहीं मिलेगा तो यहाँ कैसे आएगा?
एक अंग्रेजी अखबार में आप विज्ञापन दे देते हो और यहाँ पे आके बैठ जाते हो। अगर आप सही मायने में जन सुनवाई करना चाहते हो तो गांव में क्यों नहीं जाते? सर आज 4 साल में ये 17 मीटर से 42 मीटर का पहाड़ बना दिया। इस पहाड़ को देख के शर्म नहीं आती? ये खड़े करे।
यस वी एग्री द प्रॉब्लम इज इन द डिजाइन, बट हमने नहीं चूज करी। हमने तो जब एग्रीमेंट साइन किया हमको बोला यही है।
गुड़गांव के अंदर कम से कम 6000 RWAs हैं या बल्क वेस्ट जनरेटर्स हैं जो कूड़ा जनरेट कर रहे हैं। आपने 6000 कंपोस्टिंग यूनिट्स क्यों नहीं लगाए? इसके जिम्मेदार आप हैं अगर वो नहीं।
इको ग्रीन को आगे सबने ईविल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन डिक्लेयर कर दिया, पर किसी ने भी इको ग्रीन का एमसीजी से एग्रीमेंट नहीं पढ़ा। सो एक पब्लिक ओपिनियन cannot justify our acts. We have submitted 1,408 names of bulk waste generators who are not following SWM rules, and they are not paying user charges, and they have not been penalized so far.
The Bandwadi landfill spotlights the need for strict waste segregation in our cities. It also brings into focus the issues surrounding waste to energy projects as a waste management solution.
So you have different quality of waste to energy plant, and the quality essentially is in terms of pollution control. So you can have a very high quality pollution control system where the emissions are very low. That we are not doing. Europe has waste to energy plant, Sweden has waste to energy plant, but they have very stringent standard, but they are not constructing new. But we are trying to construct waste to energy plant which are not very efficient. The pollution control standards are relaxed, and they do not operate well because we do not provide them with segregated waste. And that is why they are expensive, that is why they are polluting, that is why you see so many protests against waste to energy plants.
All of us, just like all of us were impacted by COVID, it didn't spare anybody. Just like all of us are impacted by air pollution, it doesn't spare anybody, no matter whether you live in a high rise or whether you live in a slum. All of that smoke that's going to come from that waste to energy plant, it's going to come to us.
While the proposed expansion of the Bandwadi WTE plant is awaiting approval, it is facing opposition from environmental activists and local communities.